Hi, I'm Colin and welcome to How to Paint Watercolors. So if you're ready, we'll get started and we'll paint this one. Welcome back everybody, How to Paint Watercolors with me, Colin. I'm going to make this one a deep yellow sunset with clouds in the sky, and we will be glazing over it later with some Indian yellow, so it will set off rather bright. I'll give you a quick run round of the colours that I'm going to be using for this. Citrus yellow, cadmium yellow light, a thick mixture of Indian red, thinner mixture of Indian red just for mixing bits, pieces, burnt umber, French ultramarine, Indian yellow for glazing, and a bit of warm sepia because it's darker than the burnt umber. Okay, so I'm going to take the citrus yellow, place a glow in the sky here, very pale, and straight into that cadmium yellow light. Just get this on everywhere, all over the sky, bring it up to the citrus yellow. I want to add some yellow, cadmium yellow along where these bulrushes are. These probably will end up being darkened, but some of the yellow I want to show through. So let's see where that is now. Strong tones of cadmium yellow here, relatively light round there. As it gets darker over here, it's making it a bit deeper. I'm going to take some of the weaker Indian red with some of the burnt umber. So I want some strong clouds, some paler clouds, so I'll use a stronger mixture for the others. Now this is still very, very wet, but I do want very soft clouds in areas. So I'm just putting this in with a flat brush. I don't mind it mixing in with the yellow at this point, but I don't want to grind it in. Gives it a thicker colour. Indian red, burnt umber, maybe a touch of sepia just to darken it a little further. And we can start to add some stronger tones in areas and leave some of the lighter patches to show through. You have plenty of time to get this on, although it is a red hot day. Maybe I just want to deepen that a touch more, so I'm going to add a little bit of French ultramarine to that, just to create a really nice dark and just drop in some shadows. Touching this in with a damp brush, bringing it across. Damp brush once again. As I like to say, I'm just tickling some paint around. Slightly stronger colour. I'm just going to drop this in. As you can see, I'm leaving the other washes to show. And then I'm going to leave that to dry. Now the sky is nice and dry, I'm going to add some clean water to make the glaze up with. Plenty of water. Mix up enough to do the whole sky. Take a clean brush. Add the Indian yellow in. Glazing over it will do two things. It will deepen the sky colour and make it not look so garish, and also help to soften the clouds further back. I think that will do, that should look like it. Once again, I'm going to take some clean water right across the whole sky, quickly as you can. not to disturb the paint. Taking the broadest brush you have, or one you are comfortable with. Start from the edges and bring it in. Lighter strokes as possible. I'm going to leave the centre out and just let it creep towards that. And this is why I wet it. Once you have it on, do not play with it. Fiddling can lead to destruction. And I'm happy with that, and you can leave that to dry. Welcome back. Now it's dry, your glaze is reasonably dry. Hope you can see that it's a beautiful golden sunset, and I've just put some cadmium yellow there, and I'm just putting some burnt umber just to the side of it for the minute. And I'm going to take a small mop brush and I'm going to add some burnt umber to one half of the brush. I hope you can see that. On the other half of the brush at the top, I'm going to add some cadmium yellow. And begin to add some of these bushes in, just the tops for the moment. Cadmium yellow, burnt umber. Straightforward burnt umber for these here. Just using the tips. Darker ones over here as well. Back to my burnt umber. Break the brush open, bring a little bit of sepia. Take some of the Indian red, drop that in. I'm looking for sort of an orangey, dull orange colour. Take some sepia, French ultramarine to that. Create a dark. I'm going to add some of the red to that, just to deepen it. Break on the brush once again. Just deepening the shadows. Adding a little bit more French ultramarine to the mixture. Just pulling some twigs and branches through. It's still rather wet for this, but we'll keep going. Just taking some of this, and I'm going to put the tree trunk in here. And just be going any further with that, I would like that to dry off a little. Now that that's dry, I've just let it dry because I'm going to put my hands on the painting and I want to make sure that I don't disturb anything. I'm just turning it upside down for that. Taking more of the same mixture. Now we can start to add some branches in on these. I'll leave it up to you how many you want to put in. Crisscross them over each other, as this is a mass of trees or little copse. want to take my big mop brush. I want to take some right at the tips of the brush. Just take some of the Indian red. Just put it on the outside edge of some of these as it comes through the sun. Take some of the burnt umber, I'm going to add that into there as well, to the blue. Make sure the tips are well broken open. I'm going to take some of the really dark colour. For the shadow in these trees. Still trying to keep them relatively light and airy, allowing the sun to shine through. Once again with my little mop brush, I'm going to use it like a grass brush, taking some of the cadmium yellow, just stroking it on. You can't really see it, but you'll have to allow each individual stroke that you make to dry, each passage that you put in to dry, and you just want the tips just to bring out some grass. So you have to let each individual one dry and then add another colour. Now I'm going to add some of the Indian red, very little on the brush. Always leaving some of the other colour to show through. I do want to deepen it down this end because I want it to fade a little. That might be dry enough just to add some burnt umber, a little bit of French ultramarine to that. Once again, not too much on the brush. Deepen it off down here and you come onto the shoreline. And taking some of your really dark mixture. Mop brush is not the best thing for this, but I have been lazy and just drop this along the shoreline. Adding little patches of dark and just hiding that yellow slightly. And then we're going to let all that dry. It's time to move on to the water, so I'm just going to re-wet the water area. Just with some clean water. Just going to take some straightforward cadmium yellow straight onto it. I did save some of the glaze from earlier on, which we will be using. I'll take some of the Indian red and burnt umber. Start off up here. I could go straight in with a deep colour, but I don't want to. I want to build these up slowly. I'll take some sepia into that, just to deepen it, and some blue. Touch of the Indian red, just for the darker tones. I've got the board laying flat, but you can lift the board up and let these run should you want to. Some of the darker mixture that we used for the trees, very thick. I'm just adding this along the shoreline and letting it drift. And I also want to add in some cloud. This doesn't have to be accurate. Just bringing this in horizontal strokes. Now it's too wet to put these trees in at the moment, so I'm going to let this just go till it's damp, and then we'll add the reflections of the main trees in. Now that that's dried off a bit, we'll just see how we go. I'm just taking some of this colour, not too much paint on the brush. I even managed to get the lines straight once in a while, although in reflections it doesn't quite matter, not really. It's only an approximation. And taking some of the colour on the palette, just dropping this in just to create foliage. A touch of Indian red. Some darker colour. Almost a dry brush. And then all that can dry. Now that that's all nice and dry, I've just brought back the glaze that we put over the sky because we need to deepen the water. I'm not going to re-wet it. I need this to be quite deep in colour. Now that it's all dry, I can go straight over everything. You see how that deepens it. Taking the brush as far as you can go with it. I want to make it quite deep along the bottom. Remember, the water has depth, so it will appear darker. I'm going to leave that like that. Now we're going to leave this to dry and then we can finish it off. Now that that's nice and dry, there's just a couple of things that I need to do to it really. I'm going to take a craft knife and a ruler, and just in the reflections, I'm just going to put a wind streak just to help break it up, not much. Don't have them on the same level, but make sure they're straight. Take some dark paint again. And I just want to add some birds in the sky. And then you can get around to the bits. This is where you get to sign it, mount it and frame it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please click the like button and subscribe, especially if you want to see upcoming videos. So once again, I'd like to thank you very much for watching. Thank you.